I've been having dreams about falling in love. It feels so real, but nobody is here when I wake up. Do you know my name? The devil's in the detail. I'm a natural born killer.
Oh, look, there's a guy riding my ass. Oh, that's why. Operation Country. Mission start.
Shaller88 reached out to me from the Cherokee XJ Discord server with a plan. A scheme, I should say. He lives all the way over in Colorado and frequently makes cross-country trips in his 2000 XJ. On one of these fateful trips, crossing through Illinois, disaster struck. I mean, it's Illinois. We kind of all saw that coming. One of the transmission cooler line fittings decided it had enough and it blew out. In a matter of minutes, the transmission dumped out all its fluid and rendered the Jeep immobile. He was able to make some questionable side-of-the-road repairs with RTV lathered all over the fitting, which slowed but did not stop the catastrophic leak. Inconveniently, the transmission lines enter right next to the exhaust downpipe on the XJ, and automatic transmission fluid is very combustible, just ask the Fiat Renegade, so he was able to limp it to a nearby family friend, but not get it back to Colorado. There, in the desolate wastelands of central Illinois, the Jeep sat abandoned until further notice. Shaller's already had this transmission out for other failures, but this time he wanted a new one. Start from scratch with a new filter and torque converter and everything. And I am to help him install it.
No, they're not leaking from the front, but they're not. One of them's literally sitting on the steering stabilizer.
Yeah, it looks like they rub.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, and he's got a quick disconnect tool stuck on this one.
Right above the. Maybe he's using it a lot.
So both of the cooler lines run up here. They're not leaking up here. Oh, maybe they are. Oh, that's engine oil, isn't it? That's steering fluid. It's an XJ, all right. So, this is the lower line. This is the upper line, lower line. I would just get them both. I mean, based on what I see over there. How many volts? We got 12.5. Should start. Oh my God. How many miles are on this son of a bitch? Guess.
180,000.
How about 380,000?
No, oh my. Whoa, I was off by 200,000.
Wow, okay. Well, that might be why you're having transmission issues.
Powerslave first appeared in Operation Otherside, and he inadvertently got himself involved by living in the general area of Shaller's Jeep. He's got a 1997 Cherokee Country, one so equipped with the tow package. I can't replace a transmission in a field, but I can do it on pavement. So the initial plan was to use Powerade's Jeep to tow Shallers to his dad's house, where he's monetarily contracted me to replace his transmission. He'll then drive it from Illinois to Colorado as a test drive with his new-to-him AW4. Just one problem. Powerade's Jeep isn't quite in mechanical shape to tow another XJ. For at least a year, he's been trying to chase down an intermittent misfire on cylinder 1, which has recently turned into a constant misfire on cylinder 3 and 4 as well.
You can see it missing.
He's replaced everything you can think of: the spark plugs, distributor, camshaft sensor, ignition coil, fuel injectors, and rail, even a new ECM, no change to the misfires. Through Discord, I'm coming into this thinking it's gotta be an injector, because when you unplug 3 or 4, the idle doesn't even change. Maybe he got a set of cheap-ass injectors, or maybe the wires for them are chewed up somewhere. So my first mission directive is to diagnose the 97 country. Depending on what the problem is, we'll fix that and then tow Shaller's Jeep to a garage, where I'll then help him replace his transmission. Some fairly straightforward mission parameters for this one, but a whole lot more ended up happening. You know how Jeeps are. On my way to Powerades, I picked up an engine harness from a 1998 XJ, as he'd found some potentially fried wires in his harness that could explain some malfunctioning fuel injectors, and we spent the day swapping that in. Now, 97 is of course a one-off year for a lot of random things, most of which are electrical connectors. On the engine harness, the ignition coil, camshaft position sensor, oil pressure sending unit, speedometer, and idle air control valve each have their own 1997 only connectors that are not the same as 98 to 01. However, the amount of, color of, and lengths of wire are all the same, so to make this 98 harness work in a 97, I just spliced on each of the 5 connectors from the old one.
Engine go purr.
Stinky.
Cruise control delete, fix everything.
But that didn't fix the misfire. So, let's start from scratch. We know an engine needs 5 things to run. Spark, we absolutely have spark, tested that. Air, easy. Fuel, well, we weren't sure until we did a Noid light test and confirmed with an automotive stethoscope that the injectors are firing. So the engine actually is getting fuel. That's good. Timing, that's also easy, because if the timing chain was broke, it simply wouldn't run at all. So we know the engine is in time. I also find it extraordinarily unlikely that a lifter or rocker arm failed for 2 different cylinders simultaneously, so timing is good. So what is the last thing we need? Compression. If a cylinder doesn't have compression, it's not gonna fire.
Nothing. It's got 10. It's like 10 to 20 psi.
Sure enough, cylinder 3 and 4 both read under 15 psi, which is literally nothing. All of the other cylinders read around 110, which is still low, but the fact that 3 and 4 are directly adjacent and without compression tells me the head gasket failed between them.
Bro. I don't know. Looks normal. Jesus Christ. You guys remember this thick sheet of fog that covered the entire Midwest in early January? Yeah, that was Powerslave's exhaust.
The head gasket, he thought. I'm gonna have to sell the thing. Oh, well, it was fun while it lasted. And I was like, bro, I can do a head gasket in a weekend. And so it was. The next time I was there, Powerslave had ordered everything we needed for a thorough job. This time, Expo wanted to come with, so I drove the bastard truck to meet him in Madison, where I'd leave it with my cousin and just ride with Expo down to Illinois. I left the keys for the truck with my cousin because he lives at an apartment complex and, he might need to move it. We'll see how bad of an idea that was.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. I think we got it, boys.
It smells like aerosol in there, but we can break it. God knows why.
Alright.
This with the hood up?
Alright.
No.
It just got in there.
The water pump bolts are on there so tight, I'm turning over the crank. It's spinning the whole engine.
Well, I mean, it'd be harder if it had compression.
Yeah.
The only 2 hiccups in the removal stage were the water pump pulley bolts and the O2 sensor connector, which had somehow become perfectly encased in a block of ice, straight out of a cartoon. It was below freezing cold out here in this shed, and so to stay warm we called James and streamed video to him. He screen recorded the head removal for us, but Expo isn't a very good cameraman.
And that's it.
I'm not even having to put much effort on this, dude.
You see the problem here? So I have a piece of rubber hose with the side cut out around it. You can slide it around this bolt, and it spaces it out just enough so the threads aren't sticking out beneath the cylinder head. Try not to put too much weight on the thermostat,
Because it does crack.
you should be able to carry it like this. I'm gonna crawl in there and get the backside.
Here,
Expo, yeah, cameraman. All right.
Yeah. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's gone. Look at that. It's gone between 3 and 4.
Oh, it's totally gone.
That'll do it.
Look at that. Dude, there's like an interstate highway between 3 and 4, dude.
It's a construction project right now.
I'm the maker of Bluetooth seatbelts.
My God.
I don't think Blue Devil would have fixed that.
Yeah.
No, damn.
Maybe K-Seal.
That head gasket had failed worse than I've ever seen one, and the engine still ran, like, fine, like this. It had a misfire, but he's been driving on this for who knows how long, and it just did not care. Look at the gap in this thing. I could cleanly fit my pinky finger between that, and the engine just had a little misfire. No big deal, you know, incredible. 4-liter, best engine ever. Dude, if any modern car had the head gasket fail like this, that engine would have died immediately and probably also destroyed itself entirely, you know, just because. Well, that's assuming any modern car would even last long enough to melt the head gasket. This is a perfect testament to the indestructibility of the AMC 4-liter. It completely lost compression on 2 cylinders, which would put most 6-cylinder engines out of service, like I said, instantly. But this one just continued to run on the remaining 4 cylinders. It even sounded like a 2.5.
Bro. I don't know. You're seriously gonna run the ball? Okay, I guess it worked.
It's working.
Yeah, how is this working so good? Oh, juke him! Go! Oh my God, that was legendary. The cheese is with us.
After the Packers got scammed out of this victory and a night's rest, we were back to assembly the next day.
We're getting there, boys. Can't wait to see how many things we've screwed up.
I'm telling you right now, it's in there.
Surprisingly, nothing did go wrong during assembly. We just didn't have any coolant for the engine, so we made a trip to O'Reilly to get some. And apparently they wanted our payment in euros.
Here we go.
You got a euro? How did you get that? Erilyn, can you Venmo us some euros?
We asked Erilyn to send us €0, and apparently this note is actually real. It's actually valued at €0. To clean out some of the buildup in the crankcase, we can use a quart of transmission fluid as a detergent, and now, the moment of truth.
I don't see anything spurting out anywhere.
Anything?
No, we're good.
Shut it off.
We're gonna have to let that oil burn off the exhaust. Yeah. But there's plenty of coolant in it, and it runs.
We made the mistake of letting Expo fill it with oil, and he completely missed the fill cap by at least 6 inches. I don't know how whatever. He dumped oil all over the manifold, so that took a while to burn off. But just like that, a new head gasket had restored compression to the engine.
Load 'em up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 Something ain't right. Something ain't right. Look at this. Feel it. It's puffing. It's missing. I feel like it shouldn't be this smoggy.
It's melting snow under it.
That's a good sign.
I was like, huh? What's dripping? Oh.
Heater works. We somehow blew the fuse for the air conditioner and the E-fan, so I don't know what we had to screw something up.
This is like leaking ever so slightly, but it's like a little dribble. So I'll just keep cleaning that or see if I can do half hose.
Yeah, I don't know. Just get a new thermostat housing and an upper radiator hose is what I do. They're cheap enough. That's a low priority thing. Just keep coolant in it. How are we doing on that? It's still getting air out of it. Unless, of course, those are combustion gases entering the cooling system. But it's not smoking anymore. It cleared up.
Hello, Chad.
Jesus Christ, you guys. Well, I guess they're just gonna leave me here to walk back. I don't even know which way is north. Everything looks the same.
Penis.
He's gonna be voiceovering this anyway.
Welcome to Missouri.
To celebrate, the three of us decided to go to the nearest Waffle House in the St. Louis metro area, about 2 hours away. There we met up with two more friends and had an absolute blast. We raided the Waffle House, but for legal reasons, I can't show any footage of that. The story element here, though, is now me and Expo are in St. Louis, Missouri at 7 p.m. on a Sunday, and we both have to be up at 6 a.m. on Monday for work and/or college.
There he is.
There he is.
With his brand new head gasket on Route 66.
It was a 7-hour trip back to Madison to get my truck, and about another 2 hours for Expo to make it home himself. I had instructed my cousin to leave the keys for my truck in the ignition because I'd be getting there at, 3 a.m. Expo apparently can't sleep in cars, but I can, so he drove while I slept.
Alright, I'm back in Madison. Got my Jeep, but I don't got the keys. Still have my Jeep here because my cousin lives here. I was just gonna have him watch over it for the weekend while we were gone. Problem is, my cousin is very fond of losing things. In fact, he's very good at it. When we were young, when we were in 3rd grade, me and him, this kid lost his boot while he was wearing it. His winter boot. He was playing outside at recess. And he loses his boot while it's on his foot. He gets back inside only wearing one boot. And everybody's like, hey, where's your other shoe? And he's like, it's on my foot. It's right here. They're like, no, the other one that's not on your foot. Where's that one at? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And nobody ever found that boot. No, to this day, he lost it so hard that nobody ever found it. So I don't know why the hell I entrusted him with my keys.
My cousin was fast asleep, and I couldn't get into his apartment without him. I had sent Expo home and left myself with a dead truck in 13-degree weather. So I covered myself in blankets and called every one of my friends to see who could come rescue me. The one and only Claysif works night shift, and he'd just gotten off work. He lives an hour away from Madison, though, so I sat in this truck with no key for another hour. God, that was cold, and let me tell you, in this frigid solitude, I had learned something. I sat and thought, trying not to use the 10% of phone battery I had left. I just sat in the cold and thought. Never again am I ever trusting my cousin to do anything. In fact, as I type this script, he's supposed to be at my aunt's house feeding their pet cat, and instead I'm doing it because he just forgets everything. God damn it.
What do you think, Daisy? Which of the two cousins do you think is more responsible? Yeah, she doesn't care, as long as she gets food. Look who it is. It's Clay in his rough country Corolla. He saved me, so I'm putting gas in it.
So everything was going well until he was ran off the road by some jackass in a Suburban-esque SUV. Clay had to swerve into the ditch to avoid a head-on collision with said Suburban, and his poor Corolla that's never even seen a winter before got stuck.
We can try to rock it back and forth again. We're not that far from my other Jeep, though. Might have to go get it, pull it, push us out of here.
This happened 2 minutes away from my house, a 15-minute walk to my other Jeep, so I started walking. Now the temperature was around 0, and I've been awake for 20 plus hours.
All right. Oh. Rescue vehicle acquired. Watch it not start. Okay, we're good. We got her out. I don't have my tow strap though. We had this dinky ass little rope and it actually pulled that sucker out of there.
I was able to tow the Corolla out of the ditch, which we would have gotten on camera if Jacob had any brain cells. He just did not record it for no reason, whatever. Man, this day really tested my faith in everyone.
So after all that, I shut down the Jeep for the day, closed the door, and noticed all my dome lights stay on. So now I gotta diagnose that after everything. With all the doors and the hatch closed, they stay on. So I ripped out the rear one, and the damn thing shorted out on itself. It was like 1,000 degrees, burnt my finger on it. So out of nowhere, I need a new rear dome light. What a way to top off the day.
But thanks to Clay, he saved me. Just want to point that out. I would probably have died to cold temperatures if Clay didn't come get me. Jacob was no help, though. By the time I got into bed, I had to wake up for work in 20 minutes. So I just called off. The world had defeated me that day. Expo also got himself in a bit of a pickle with the freezing rain.
It's awful. I hate it, and I got 30 minutes left. I've already been driving like this for 30 minutes. It is 4:38 in the morning. I've been driving since 9:30. God help me. I pulled off because that shit wasn't safe, and now I'm stuck in a snowbank when I tried to pull off. It's high-centered. I'm hoping the ambient heat will just melt the snow around it where it is high-centered because I don't have a shovel or anything. I tried digging it out with my hand and that went okay. I'm tired. I shouldn't be driving. There's only about 20 minutes left, but...
He did eventually drive himself out and successfully make it back home. He is still alive today, so thank you for your sacrifice, Expo. It will not go unnoticed. It has now been immortalized on the tides of the internet. You may have also noticed his XJ is the same Silverstone metallic as the Reclaimer. I do miss that silver. It was good to have a blast from the past, a little trip down memory lane. It's like a time capsule. Instead of going to work, I forced my cousin to come bring me my keys.
This fucking bimbo right here. Look
You can't trust a stoner to remember shit, alright?
Sender! Hey! Alright, catch you later.
Expo's check engine light decided it was time to shine on our way back from Missouri. At home, he read the codes and found P0300, misfire on random or multiple cylinders.
PO300, 80% speed run, all codes. Starting now, go. Loss of camera crank, multiple cylinder misfire. Cylinder 1 misfire, cylinder 2 misfire, cylinder 3 misfire, cylinder 4 misfire, cylinder 5 misfire, cylinder 6 misfire. All of them, let's go. I should get an award.
Because I felt bad for almost getting him killed that night, I figured I'd head over to his place and see if we could figure that out. And you'll see this recurring theme in Operation Country. Remember, the primary mission directive is to replace Schaller's transmission, and so far on that itinerary, we've accomplished a head gasket job on a different Jeep, and now I'm going to throw some spark plugs at someone else's. He's never had the spark plugs out, So when chasing down misfires, I always like to start with the simple stuff. Spark plugs are cheap, and they can tell you a lot about how the inside of an engine is doing. Upon removal, we found iridium spark plugs, and if you remember all the way back to my video on the topic, these 2000 plus ignition coils cannot handle iridium spark plugs. They require too much voltage to make a spark jump the gap, and are known for frying ignition coils, so based on the fact that the plugs all looked fine, I would bet money on a random cylinder misfire being a dying coil rail. In an AutoZone parking lot, we installed some copper spark plugs and replaced the coil rail.
This is valuable life lesson time, Expo. Okay? Never set tools on the battery. Fire in the hole! That brand new lifetime warranty coil rail. So a previous owner of Expo's Jeep had a cooling flush T installed on the upper heater hose, and when we were screwing around with the coil rail, it broke. So we took it off, expecting a bunch of coolant to come out of here, but not a drop. You know, the whole inside of the engine looks like that, and you know it. He's got to flush it out a bunch of times. That's gonna suck.
But we kind of got distracted by a marketplace listing for a nearby 1990 Comanche Eliminator. Exactly the same spec as Cherry Pie, except this one is a manual. Listed for $1,300. I figured if nobody else was going to buy this thing, I would.
It's the transfer case that's in here is out of a 91 plus.
Okay.
Whatever it is, and that's when they switched to an electronic speedometer. This one's cable driven, so I would bet that's what it is.
Yep. So like I said, when I got it, it was. So I'll admit, if I probably look at the miles, I would have to say it's probably got more like 225, because I definitely had it for 15 years and drove it every day to work for a while. And then probably 2 years ago was when me and him put the floor pans in. And then I kind of parked it back over here, lost interest in it again, unfortunately.
Doesn't look that bad at all. The transmission's out of a Wrangler. That's a good feeling AX15 though. Small battery. It still has the relay cover with the clips. Yeah, Cody Kilmer. I bought stuff from him before. Yeah.
I was thinking about buying the back window, but I was worried about shipping and it breaking. It works. Again,
Yeah.
works. It's not the best way, but
Well, I think this is really clever. Instead of, oh my gosh.
oh, you're right. There it is.
Instead of running a hose all the way over there to the overflow tank, just put it right here. That's a good idea. Like, I'm probably going to do that on other trucks now.
I'm glad I could help out.
Yeah.
As me and Expo were nerding out over this thing, some fibs showed up and took over the scene. This big shot shows up and commands his son to look under the truck, and I quote, "Check the body mounts." I'm like, yeah, okay, bud, good luck with that. And then he goes, "With the amount of rust on here, we're going to have to take off the cab and replace those." And me and Expo could not help but snicker. I would pay to see this guy remove the cab from a unibody truck to replace the body mounts. He acted like he knew what he was talking about, like guy's never seen an MJ before.
The brakes hold it here, though.
But he did end up buying it. I said if somebody else wanted the truck, I wouldn't fight for it. I don't have the capacity for another vehicle anyway, but a manual swap on Cherry Pie would be, oh, yes, please. The seller was super chill though. He had a shed full of random parts I couldn't keep my hands off. I ended up impulse buying everything you see scrolling on screen right now. You can check the description for the status on the parts I'll get rid of. Since we were nearby, Expo wanted to show me a sort of museum for AMC cars, and with the authentic dealership sign outside, we found some pretty rare birds, alongside probably the cleanest XJ I've ever seen in person.
Holy shit. Automatic command track 1999. Brand new drum brakes. Is it a 4-cylinder? No, it's a 4-liter. Okay. False alarm. I got excited. Expo.
Yeah.
Get out of the frame.
But anyway, we finally went to flush out his cooling system.
You ready?
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, shit. I think you should turn off the hose. Well, there goes your TPS. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we do need to drain most of the tap water out of it. But
Yeah, we're gonna have to pull the hose anyway, but this is a very easy way to flush it out. I have this laying around as one does. It looks like it has the same issue with that spot burning up though, so we'll see if this one starts on fire.
Alright, so finally, here at 32 minutes into the video, the time has finally come to replace Schaller's transmission. Powerslave decided it'd be better to just tow it with his big Chevy truck, so it turns out the head gasket was for nothing. Illinois also decided it was a great time for a major snowstorm, but at Schaller's dad's garage, we all gathered for the grand event.
3 XJs roll up to your house in Illinois. What do you do? Steiner?
taking the place over.
Look at this. It's the last of the 301s with Phillips screws. It's real.
Fake news.
Steiner W. came all this way from Oklahoma. But why, you may ask? Well, get ready for another sidetrack. You remember this thing? Oh yeah, the original gangsta Comanche. Steiner bought it from me. Ever since the clutch went out after Operation Justice, I drove the blue truck to my grandpa's house and parked it. It's been sitting there for 8 months and hasn't been touched. I am done with this thing. I can't fix it. Watch this secret video if you want to know why. But I said to the Cherokee XJ Discord server, $25. Whoever gives me $25 and goes to drag this thing out of my grandpa's yard keeps it. Nobody thought I was serious until it was brought up for probably the 10th time. Everyone started a bidding war, but it came down to whoever gave me the money first. Steiner W., who we of course commend for his torque-spit lacking 2001 XJ, sent me $200, and just like that, he's got an MJ. So I was going to mail him the title, but he's like, no, I don't want a chance mailing it. I'll just meet you in Illinois to pick it up when you go to replace Schaller's transmission. So that's how he ended up here. Now, the interesting thing with Steiner is he accidentally drove into a lake and hydrolocked his engine.
I bet you could drink that. Wow. That's not right.
Yeah. I messed up.
It's just water.
It's all water. I could just drain it onto the ground. I should have just drained it onto the ground. You know, it's still going.
It's too late now, I guess.
It's still going. Oh my god. It's still straight water. I gotta put the plug back in.
Huh.
But it gets better. After he drained all that water and the oil, removed the spark plugs and cranked over the engine to get all the water out of the combustion chambers, that thing started, and he drove it back home from the lake.
We're home free, boys. She's gonna live.
He then proceeded to do nothing else to the engine. This engine, that, need I remind you, was just filled to capacity with lake water. He put oil in it and then drove it 800 miles to get a piece of paper from me. If you guys think I'm insane, you ain't seen anything. This guy goes on more wild adventures than I ever have, but he doesn't record any of it. I told him he should. He had some wild stories. But for the project on hand, we got the transmission out and we're preparing the replacement one for install. It somehow didn't have the fitting for the vent hose, the breather tube thing, so we had to find one. The AW4 is a Toyota transmission, and they managed to find this Toyota part number, but they're out of stock everywhere. Steiner and Schaller went to O'Reilly to get a pack of universal fittings and some extended hoses for those vent lines, and I stayed behind to replace the filter inside the transmission pan on the newly acquired one, which was much easier with the thing laying upside down out of the vehicle.
So I just got the pan back on. I take out the drain plug, and it is completely stripped.
And it wasn't just the bolt that was stripped, so I had to take the pan back off, then get the pan off the other transmission, and then put them both back on just so we'd have a functional drain plug.
Way too wide. One problem after another. Oh boy. Alright boys, we got the transmission on the jack. Steiner has become one with the XJ.
It's my home. I live here now.
Oh boy, that was exhausting. I don't want to do it again. Let's just manual swap it next time.
Deal.
Okay. It's cold out here. Dude, what is this? Blizzard conditions. It's literally not even snowing in Wisconsin. What is this? McDonald's XJ gang. I thought it was Schaller for a second.
After me and Steiner left for the night, Schaller kept going, and we didn't have to do much at all the next day.
He's putting fluid in the transmission now. Just drained all the engine oil. Gonna put some oil in that thing. Got all new cooler lines.
We are almost ready for startup. All right. We are ready. See if it starts. First dry. There, at the bottom of the ad now. What is engine temperature at? All right, you want to go ahead and see if it moves? Yeah. Jeez. A little bit too excited. I don't know if he's the best test driver. You know, I was thinking more of a little casual stroll, not a instantly gun it down the highway sort of a drive, but, you know. Just Jeep things. I don't see any immediate obvious signs of leakage though. It's just burning off of the exhaust still. Holy shit, that scared me. Look at those brand new cooler lines. Do you think we could beat the high score? Looks like the high score is 412,000 on Galaga. I don't think I could beat that. He's going for it. Steiner's going for it. Come on, come on, come on.
I'm not good at this.
I can see that. Wow. 45%? Steiner, come on.
Yeah, my accuracy's not too great.
All right. Let's show him how it's done, boys.
He's focused. He's locked in.
Okay, I finally died on stage 10. 38,430 is the record to beat.
After a weekend's work and some good food at a local diner, everyone split off and went their separate ways. Schaller began the long drive from Illinois to Colorado on his transmission that I am fully mechanically responsible for. Steiner returned to Oklahoma for work, and I continued south to Florida to get the MJ ready for him. I wanted to make sure it still ran and reposition it so it could be moved onto a dolly fairly efficiently. Steiner would come the next month to pick it up and tow it all the way from Florida to Oklahoma.
Oh, she's ready. Oh, never mind. Apparently not. No crank. The solenoid wear fell off of the relay. I bet it'll start now. Yeah.
Powerslave had to leave the day prior for some job requirements in Minnesota, driving all that way on his head gasket that I'm also fully mechanically responsible for. And as I looked at this map, I reminisced. In all our times of need, we gathered at the 0 point to help each other out. The XJ Nation at its best. When the states unite, we can accomplish incredible things.
Soap. Soap. Come here. Good girl. Good Soap.
Speaking of incredible things, since I was back in Florida, I made sure to re-equip my side exit exhaust. I've missed that. You know, I couldn't have it when I was in California because I probably would have served like 20 years of jail time for something like this.
Rig spotted, boys.
I loaded up more of my stuff and headed back north. Steiner rented a U-Haul trailer and picked up the MJ the next month. He towed that thing all the way back to Oklahoma with his XJ. Brave man. Unlike me, he has the capability to fix this truck, and so it shall live on with someone better suited for it. Perhaps he'll send us occasional video updates on it, but I have a feeling I'll see it again someday. Thank you all for watching, and keep on jeeping on.